What's going on, YouTube? How we doing? I already filmed a video today, which is already live, a reaction. But I was just kind of scrolling through some YouTube shorts, and I heard about this thing called the Poughkeepsie Tapes. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I don't know. The Poughkeepsie Tapes, and like the snippet that I saw, and I was like, what in God's name is that? I looked it up, and apparently it's a movie from like 2008 or something like that. I've never seen it. I've never seen anything to do with it. I may have heard about it, but it wasn't like a big thing. So we're gonna watch the trailer. The Poughkeepsie Tapes trailer, official trailer, to see what it's about. Let's do this together. I mean, y'all may have heard of it or watched the movie. If you have, comment down below and let me know if I should watch it. I love horror. I like my favorite movie of all time is 13 Ghosts. Like I have the picture of the jackal as my screensaver because it's the jackal. But let's watch this because I don't know what to expect here. So I typed it in like as you can see right here.
Plot before issuing my verdict and giving it a place on the cult rack. I'm also
I saw
the Poughkeepsie Tapes took a decade to see the light of day before becoming one of.
So, and then I started just kind of going through. I typed it in, and then now we're here. So, just to let you know, I'm not fooling around here. I have no idea about this. So let's check it out together, and I mean, let's see what it's about.
We have to wait 24 hours.
No, there is blood! There is blood out there! Send the police now!
Today, police made a shocking discovery in Poughkeepsie.
A third body was found here today.
A Poughkeepsie couple vanished over the weekend, seemingly without a trace.
This is based off of a real story? Oh, I'm about to go on a deep dive, man. Holy crap.
Do you mind if I film this? I'm making a little movie about my trip.
Okay, you already know it's a horror movie when a woman sees the killer and goes to run and they fall down. The story may be true, but there's no way on God's green earth that they're gonna let a movie be made when, like, if the killer actually filmed him, like, stalking people and hunting them down and then capturing them. There's no, I mean, if that did happen, it'd be pretty sweet. But for the family's sake, if it's based off a real story, there's no way they would have released that footage of like if your daughter or your son gets kidnapped and something terribly happens to them. There's no way that they're going to let that be released to the public to see it. I have a weird brain. I do like that type of stuff. I don't mind seeing it. I've seen some pretty messed up stuff. I'm not sure how I would feel about watching like a real video of someone being mutilated, like, and it be real. Like it, you know, I don't know how I'd feel about that.
Poughkeepsie Tapes.
I saw a clip of like a creature. So I want to see this right here. Like creature. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Let's check it out. That's freaky, dude. It looks real. Dude, holy crap, bro. Like, what? Dude, okay. We might have to do like a deep dive of us going through the Poughkeepsie tapes. Like, just going through it. But this is the most disturbing found footage movie ever made. Ryan Hollinger. Okay. 16 minutes. Okay, let's check this out. Let's see what we got.
If I've learned one thing from teaching this class, it's this. After what we're going to see here today,
I can't handle anything with children. I can't do it. I can't handle kids being killed or animals being killed. I can't deal with that. I don't like it. Get a job, man. Get a job.
3 of you will go home tonight and decide that this is not what you want.
This video contains distressing imagery. I'm stupid. Distressing imagery and subject matter.
With your life. You know, there are some terrible people in this world who do unbelievably terrible things. So it's important that each of you ask yourself, do I really want to surround myself with these terrible things for the rest of my professional life?
God. Kids, bro, I can't handle that.
For the longest time, John Eric Dowdall's The Poughkeepsie Tapes was a very hard film to get your hands on. After premiering at the Tribeca Film Festival in May 2007, it struggled to obtain a theatrical release, despite MGM's initial willingness to distribute it.
I wonder why it was a struggle to get it released. Maybe because it's too realistic for people. I mean, there's a lot of weird people out there, such as myself, who like this type of stuff. So, and I'm not the only one. Like, I run into quite a few people who are into this type of stuff too. So, you'd think it would have like a pretty good following, you know? But then again, 2008, probably just a different time. It just wasn't the right time for it. I don't know.
Only to end up briefly on VOD in 2014, before finally obtaining an official home release through Scream Factory after a decade in limbo. Over the years, the Poughkeepsie Tapes gained a modest cult following for its nasty, uncompromising subject matter surrounding the discovery of over 800 videotapes by a maliciously twisted serial killer who has yet to ever be identified, let alone caught. It isn't an especially graphic film, but contextually it's a very intense psychological horror that deals with some repulsively macabre ideas regarding random acts of violence, a killer's obsession with power and control, the futility of obtaining or understanding motive, and the simple truth that evil people just exist, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh my god.
The Poughkeepsie Tapes channels many real-life events and serial killers, most notably Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and even shades of the Zodiac Killer just for good measure. Like with Lake Mungo, which came out the following year, the Poughkeepsie Tapes uses the unique framing device of a pseudo-documentary, where we journey through some of the various videotapes as experts and investigators try to analyze and decipher their contents, while trying to determine who or even what this—
That's creepy, bro. I'm not gonna. Not gonna lie, that's creepy, dude. Oh my god.
Killer is. Although, unlike Lake Mungo, I'm not trying to argue that this film is some underrated, forgotten masterpiece or anything, because while I do think it makes for a powerful true crime fiction that embodies the structure of the kind of documentaries you see on Netflix these days, I also think it suffers from the exact same problem as many of these documentaries. The Poughkeepsie Tapes has a really bad habit of overindulging in melodrama, with some noticeably wooden and unconvincing performances, and a constant dependence on bizarre shock value to make up for quite a weak plot. Sure, on the one hand, the lack of resolution or clarity adds to the authenticity akin to other found footage films at the time, but the Poughkeepsie Tapes does not exactly introduce many questions or intriguing implications to sustain the impact long after it's over. There's virtually no suspects, clues, or things to consider, bar one specific red herring I'll talk about later. It has one thing going for it. This killer, who all we can tell is called Ed, is truly one of the more spine-chilling depictions of a human monster in film, and his eerie snuff films are mesmerizingly despicable. So you could think of the Poughkeepsie Tapes as sinister but without the hokey supernatural elements. Basically, these tapes follow the day in the life of our killer Ed as he randomly stalks, abducts, tortures, and eventually murders and mutilates his victims with the intent of making sure the world is aware of his barbaric presence. For the most part, it's pretty much a light character study as opposed to unraveling a grander mystery, because right from the get-go, it introduces each expert assigned to the case as being left distinctly forlorn by it. Despite years of stomaching gruesome crimes, many of these individuals admit that they have been left baffled by how far humanity can fall. They are lost in some existential crisis for humanity.
That? The face is in the stomach? Dude, what? Can you imagine?
They are lost in some existential crisis, and as the film progresses, what initially begins as an investigation into uncovering the killer's motive gradually reveals itself to be clear as day right from the beginning. This killer simply wants to get in everybody's head. His profound feeling of gratification is less in his actions and more in how he has permanently implanted himself in the traumatized minds of everyone involved. These experts practically become victims as well. Essentially, the real dire point of the story is that the killer has effectively already won, and if by the end you are left angry and confused as to what the point of it all was, well, that's exactly what he wants. This is the kind of film that wants you to feel bad by the end, for as sensationalist and weird as it is, it's not the kind of pop culture shock where you're left morbidly curious and OMGing with all your mates about it and want to see it again. It's the kind of vile film you watch once and never go back. And while in many respects it borders on the taste,
there's not one movie I've ever watched, ever, that I've never went back and watched again. Except there's one movie I started watching and never finished it. Like, I cut it off. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is The Human Centipede. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But that movie, it doesn't freak me out. It's just disgusting. It's just gross. It made me, like, not physically sick, but, like, it's grossed me out. So I was like, I can't watch this. I can't watch it. That is the only film that I have started and did not finish. But any movie that I have started and finished, I have at least watched again. I could say that much. If I start a movie, I finish it. You know what? Tell me in the comments down below about an experience that you had, like a movie that you've either watched and couldn't finish, or one that you watched and you will never watch again. Tell me down below. I'm curious. And if it's something I haven't seen, I'll check it out.
The real terrifying reality of it is that these kinds of crimes do happen. It's the epitome of the statement that it's like something right out of fiction. it refuses to shy away from its moral and social panic. Like when I talked about Maniac or any slasher movie inspired by real events, the Poughkeepsie Tapes is about accentuating that unnerving sense of vulnerability we all have, even when we think we are at our safest. Yet, instead of focusing purely on the physical violence, it taps fiercely into the psychological. While the film spends its first half building up Ed's twisted world of cutting up corpses and having his way with them, as the investigators attempt to geographically isolate him, I think the story's most harrowing element is how it gradually focuses on one specific teenage victim called Cheryl and her torment over an extended period of time. As I said at the beginning, Ed is perceived as obsessed with power, and he shows this by treating Cheryl as his puppet to play with, dressing her up as a doll as he plays the role of a plague doctor, which in early Italian theatre was a character symbolic of death. This part then becomes a topic of contention, with one detective suggesting that his reasoning for this is purely to alleviate responsibility for...
I'm highly interested in this type of stuff, and I honestly wonder, like, in the minds of people, like, what makes people grow up, or even children, or, like, commit these atrocities? Like, what in their brain says, okay, I'm gonna do this, you know what I mean? And have no remorse for it, like children killers, you know, like what happens in their brain while it's functioning for them to be like, okay, you know, I'm gonna do this, you know. I'm curious about that, because like a lot of people grow up and they're like, oh, well, this person, he killed 17 people because he had a really bad childhood, and you know, things at home weren't really good. I've always hated that excuse. I've always hated it, because I didn't grow up good, like at all. I'm not gonna, I don't even talk about it. I don't like that, oh, their childhood was bad. And I understand some people suffer more than others. Some people go through, you know, way worse things than other people. I don't like the oh, it was their childhood, and that's why they went through what they went through. That's why they did what they did. I've always hated that excuse, and that's just personally. I'm not trying to attack anybody or like be negative or downplay the situation. I'm just saying, for me, from my personal views, like I don't see how that is. You know what I mean? Because I went through some very, very, very messed up stuff. And I saw some messed up stuff as a kid, as a child, like just chaos, violence, and just insane. I don't even talk about it. You know, that's just me. That's just me. But I think that the way I grew up and stuff also plays into the part of my music style that I like. The stuff that I read, the movies that I like. Like I'd much rather flip on a horror movie to lay down and relax in bed than a happy movie. I don't know. Like heavy metal music. Like I love heavy music. Love it. That is just me. But I know I've rambled, but, you know, it's just my brain. I have questions. You know what I mean? I have questions, and maybe I'll look into it more, and maybe it's out there. Maybe it's already been figured out. But just, you know, people saying that, you know, like 100 times when they go to court, you see it all the time. And, oh, it was his childhood, why he did all this stuff, or the reason why she did. Her father ran out. That's why she did this. To me, that's a load of shit. That's just my personal opinion.
His actions by blaming it on the character, but really it shows us that Ed is clearly aware of everything that he is doing, so ultimately he has no issue taking responsibility and simply loves relishing in it. In fact, the crime scenes where he leaves his mutilated corpses are described by the media as demonic, as if to suggest that he's some sort of cult-worshipping weirdo. But again, these are just attempts to explain the bizarre nature of his behavior. It's trying to add meaning that simply isn't there. I talked about this in my 7 video, where Morgan Freeman's character is trying to empathize with the killer's logic, while Brad Pitt's character dismisses him as simply nothing more than a psycho with no remorse. And both perspectives are equally valid ways to interpret it. In reality, it all just comes down to this need to dominate. By giving him attention, he sees it as them idealizing him, which in turn is giving him exactly what he he wants. It calls back to killers like Dahmer and Bundy that he's based on. While in trial, they might try and play the insanity card to downplay their actions as just a broken cog in the machine, but really, it is just blatant arrogance. They find an absolute thrill in having so much power and attention. It gives them an overwhelming sense of authority. Hell, Ed even plays the Zodiac card and taunts the investigators with clues and notes, and even has the balls to show up at the missing girl's home where the police and media hang around to mock her mother to her face. As such, the film gradually devolves from painting him as a disturbed lunatic and painting him as simply a malicious piece of shit getting off on his destruction and torment. In fact, one veteran detective even goes as far as to interview Ted Bundy himself to understand the killer's MO, but the detectives discover that he frequently changes it, so they can never determine specific logistics to catch him, showing that the killer always plans ahead. This leads to two significant turning points in the story, the first being that eventually the detectives uncover semen samples and further evidence that links the crimes to a police officer called James Foley. Foley is then arrested and sentenced to death in 1996, finally being executed by lethal injection on September 9th, 2001. The second turn is that a few days after Foley's execution, the killer reveals that he framed Foley, and despite being exonerated for the murders, because the reveal happened days after 9/11, the public do not notice and Foley is forever condemned in the public eye. Later, detectives reverse engineer the killer's home and find the 800 videotapes along with Cheryl, still alive. The truly gut-wrenching part of all of this is how Cheryl is left not just traumatized, but after years of torture and isolated slavery, she's developed a loving attachment to the killer and is scared to do anything without his permission. In fact, when finally interviewed on camera, she did.
Dude, that's so messed up too. My wife loves the show Criminal Minds. And there's episodes where that happens, and it's like, dude, like, I couldn't imagine being put into a position where you're held captive against your will to a complete stranger, and you're with that person for so long, and then all of a sudden, you don't know what to do without them, and because they messed you up mentally. Dude, I couldn't imagine that.
Does not know what to say because she's waiting for someone to tell her what to do. She has lost the ability to think independently. I've truly never seen Stockholm Syndrome used to such an extreme extent in a film before, and it elevates the horror from just plain scary to deeply tragic and enraging. Her entire life has been taken away from her, and she's left just a shell of her former self, to the point that because she's so lost without him, she commits suicide soon after, believing that the killer will one day return to get her, and they will be together forever. This eventually becomes real as her body is exhumed, goes missing, with only one last videotape remaining in her grave. The point of explaining these last series of events is to compound how the Poughkeepsie Tapes understands that horror is less about what is shown in the moment and more about how it affects everything around it moving forward. The Poughkeepsie Tapes leaves this empty void of despair by the end. It's hopeless and depressing, completely absent of justice or reason. Sure, while I don't think it's an incredible film, I still believe it's a powerful work of psychological horror in how it presents this distorted, fantastical realm of misery, hatred, and pain, and makes it feel so real to the point that it leaves you questioning just how weirder this world can get. Put it this way, the Poughkeepsie Tapes is about a killer who wants to be remembered and become an urban legend. And as the final detective interviewed states, the killer will inevitably watch this documentary. And even as we talk about it now, we're playing exactly right into his game by keeping his disturbing reign of terror alive.
Hmm. It's messed up. So, I mean, it is a film. Rob Zombie's made some pretty messed up films, but man, that just seems, I mean, it seems real. What a great video. Ryan Hollinger. What a great video. Kind of gave me like a backstory and like some information. I saw this years ago, but couldn't finish it. It's not a fun horror movie. This is a you will lose faith in humanity movie. I see. My thing is this though, because it is a movie, right? If that was based off of a real killer who did this stuff and filmed it, all these killers, Bundy, Dahmer, and Gacy, all just kind of rolled up into one person and made a film about it. When it comes to movies and shots, the way that this is shot, it reminds me of Paranormal Activity. You know, the home videotape and all that stuff. It's getting so good. You know, this is like old school film type. So to me, it could be more realistic. The first Paranormal Activity, amazing. The ones after that, I don't remember much. Saw movies. First Saw movie was great. I think the first 2 or 3 were good. But then after that, I don't think I've seen the rest of those because I was just like, dude, stop. But I feel a lot better knowing that this is made up, like it's fiction. That's not real. Because I was gonna say if it's real, I almost slipped and cussed. I'd just say if it was real, then there's no way I'm watching that. Because I would get curious and I'd end up watching it or trying to watch it and then feel super bad that I watched it. So, but all right, y'all, I'm just rambling now. I always talk to the camera as if there's people actually here and that y'all are actually talking back to me. And it's so I could literally sit here for 6 hours and just talk to y'all about random stuff and reciprocate like how I would imagine y'all would respond to me. I could take that and still keep talking and then give you information and deep dive, and I don't know. This is how my brain works. Sorry. I don't know if I'm going to release this, so if I do, you're seeing it. If not, you'll never see it. So, but if you did like it, like, comment, subscribe. Give me your thoughts down below in the comment section, or if there's something I should check out that's kind of like this, or just something you want me to check out, just let me know, and I'll definitely give it a look and give you my honest, and I mean it, honest. If you don't like honesty, this is not the channel for you. I will be brutally honest with you. I'm not going to tear you down. I'm not going to call you names and say you have horrible taste or name call you. I'm not that type of person, but I will give you brutal honesty. If I don't like it, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. I'm going to give you the reasons why I don't like it. That's just how I am. It's how I've always been. If you don't like that type of stuff, I'm sorry. This is not the channel for you. If you do like it, welcome. All right, y'all, I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed it. I will catch y'all in the next one.